Charlie Munger once said, "Show me the incentives and I'll show you the outcome." And I agree, because incentives are way more powerful than everybody thinks. But almost everybody gets them wrong. So they think incentives are just financial, like a bonus or a comp plan or whatever. But incentives are also non-financial. So they involve things like status or convenience or recognition, fear, autonomy, or peer approval. Incentives can also be short-term, like today's commission, or they could be long-term, like getting equity upside in a company. And they can also be explicit, like something that's agreed upon beforehand, like a bonus. Or they can be implicit, which is something that's not agreed upon or spoken out loud in advance. And the thing is, implicit incentives are really tricky. But a great example is your team noticing that, let's say, the person who stays late gets promoted, or the person who challenges the CEO in public gets sidelined, or the person who takes risks in the business gets punished if it fails. So none of those things are explicitly written in a handbook, but it doesn't make them any more real. And essentially it shapes behavior and culture way more than you realize. And another thing people don't understand about incentives is they think that their employees respond to all incentives, whether it's financial status, etc., in the same ways. But in reality, everybody kind of has their own combination, and different people respond to different incentives. So some people want more status and recognition rather than money. Other people just really want to make the money. And then some people want to join a company with a huge mission, like SpaceX, Tesla, etc. So the key when you're hiring and you're also figuring out comp plans is figuring out in the interview what that person's kind of combination of incentives actually is and what they're going to respond best to, because it's not binary. It's not like people are status driven or money driven or whatever. People kind of have like a perfect combination of incentives that they optimize for. And your job in the interview process is to figure out what that is. Now, with all that in mind, in order to set up proper incentives, you have to know if they actually work. And the basic economic formula for this is people will take an action if the expected benefit is greater than the expected cost, kind of similar to marginal thinking. So they'll keep doing an action until the marginal benefit equals the marginal cost. So I'll give you a quick example on this. Let's say you're just managing a salesperson and their target is 20 sales in a single month. So for them to get 5 sales in a month, it's like pretty easy. They're just closing laydowns. If they get 10 sales in a month, it took more effort, but it's like still pretty easy. Getting the 15 sales takes a little bit of effort, then 20 sales might be genuinely hard. But the way to think about this is each additional sale has a higher marginal cost. Like they have to work harder, they have to go deeper into the pipeline, they have to make more cold calls, they have to take more appointments, they have to maybe work more hours. And then on top of that, that also means that each additional sale means giving up more of their personal time or their family time or taking on more stress or working longer hours. And all of that starts to stack up. So what happens as a result is, as the month goes on, the cost of each next sale for the salesperson is slowly rising. But if you're paying a flat commission, the reward is staying exactly the same, which means the benefit to cost ratio of the next sale keeps shrinking every single sale you get. And eventually it shrinks to the point where the marginal benefit equals the marginal cost, and the salesperson has no incentive to get more deals. And so they start to coast. And honestly, you can't blame them. That's what the math told them to do. So what do you do about it? You change the incentive structure. So I'll give you an example. Instead of a flat commission where every single sale pays the same and eventually isn't worth the grind, maybe let's say after 15 sales, you give them a little bit higher commission bump from sales 15 to 20. Then the same thing happens from sales 20 to 25 and 25 to 30, to where as they kind of push harder and the cost is going up and it's getting harder and harder through the month to actually grind up those numbers, the benefit is also raising as well. So when you do this, you're counteracting the rising marginal cost with a rising marginal benefit, which keeps it easier for them to push through for those harder deals later in the month. It actually incentivizes them to do it. So graphically, what you're doing is you're extending the marginal benefit curve outward so they stay motivated deeper in the month. And as a side note, this framework also explains why your best salespeople are your best salespeople. So in my experience, it doesn't come down to just skill. It also comes down to pain tolerance. Like the best performers I've ever had were the ones that were willing to incur and sacrifice and just go through more pain per deal than anybody else, because they just want the money or the status of being the top guy that badly. So you can apply this thinking around incentives to really every aspect of your business, not just sales. All you have to do is just take a part of your business where you're not happy with the outcome you're getting, and then audit the incentive by asking 2 questions. Number 1, look at the behavior that's being rewarded right now. Not what you want to be rewarded or what your company values say, but look at the actual symptoms. So like the comp plan, the promotion criteria, the culture, the implicit signals, and what is actually being rewarded. And that's the behavior you're going to get. Now, second, ask yourself, what do you need to change about the incentive structure or the culture or whatever, so that someone acting in their own self-interest naturally just produces the outcome that you want? Because the one thing about humans you can bet on over the long term is they're going to act in their own self-interest. So what you want to do with your incentive plan, naturally, is align their self-interest with your self-interest. And when you do that, you'll get the result that you actually want.